Director De La Vega, Director Mahinay, Director Arevalo, Director Clasara, Director Gregorio. Ang daming director dito. OIC Director Sunga, OIC Director Reyes, Director Trapete, Director Lita, Director Handa, OIC Director Makaspak, Director Chavez, Director Atilio, Executive Director Ruiz, Deputy Director Santiago Yan, Deputy Director Cruz Caicedo, Director Cuevas, Director Clemente, Director Santos, General Danilo Lim, Chairman of the MMDA, Yusek Frisco San Juan, Deputy Chairman of the MMDA, Yusek Jose Arturo Garcia, General Manager, ASEC Romando Artes, Assistant General Manager, ASEC Campos, Assistant General Manager, and ASEC Almadin. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat, Sec Wendell. Sir, if you have a presentation, we'll be happy to hear it, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, good afternoon to all present here in this committee hearing. As you very well know, I have with me probably the entire officialdom of the Department of Budget and Management, just to emphasize to you the importance of this budget, but its implication
I would rather
as
they're
well.
in the DBM releasing funds, Secretary.
Yes, precisely, Your Honor. Just to assure you that we're here to make sure that all of these funds are released on time.
Salamat po.
For our department, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I would like to request the Chair to please recognize our OIC Director Dante De Chavez of our Finance Service to do the presentation.
Where is,
Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
yes, Sir De Chavez. Go ahead, sir.
Honorable Chairperson and members of the Senate Committee on Finance, fellow servants in government, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon po. It is our privilege to present to you the proposed budget of the Department of Budget and Management for fiscal year 2020. Sir, I will do away with the mandate and the organizational outcomes, performance indicators, and proceed to the proposed 2020 budget of DBM. The DBM FY 2020 proposed budget is 2,331.36 million or 35.96 lower than the current year budget. It shall cover the operating requirements of the Office of the Secretary and the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office. The decrease pertains to the 1.3 financial assistance to the procurement service, which is just a one-time assistance to the GPPB-TSO. On the disaggregation of the budget by program project, of the 2,331.36 million proposed budget, 90.55% or 2,111 million is allocated to OSEC to fund the regular programs of the Central Office, 19 bureaus, services offices, and 16 regional offices, as well as the implementation of the locally funded projects in the total amount of 284.15 million. These projects will enable us to pursue our existing ICT projects, to implement the various programs, reforms, initiative, to improve and further strengthen public funds management. 3 is to facilitate the budget process and procurement transactions and promote transparency and accountability in the government. The remaining 9.45% or 222 million will cover the attached agencies or the GPPB-TSO's programs and projects. On the disaggregation of the budget by program classification, 47.18% of the DBM, inclusive of GPPB-TSO's proposed budget, will go to the General Administration and Support Services. Meanwhile, 706.60 million or 30.31 million will be allocated to support operations such as legal services, budget information and training services, and information and communications technology system services, among others. Moreover, 524.88 million or 22.51% of the total will be provided for operations. On the disaggregation of the budget by allotment class, 39.6% or 917.63 million is allocated for personnel services, 49.02% for MOE and 8.78 or percent for capital outlays and 2.84% or 66.16 million for retirement and life insurance premium. The decrease in MOE of 1.365 billion pertains to the financial assistance to the procurement service of 1.3 billion and 12.35 million decrease for locally funded projects.
It's the 1.3 billion for, just for the record. The assistance, the increase, the one-time increase.
Sir, that's a revolving fund of the procurement service.
Anything, maintenance, ganon? What is it used for?
Mr. Chair, may I request
Yeah.
that the Executive Director of
Yeah, Director Cuevas?
PSDBM,
Yes, ma'am.
Director Cuevas.
Opo.
Good afternoon,
Good
Chair.
afternoon.
The 1.3 billion is primarily to fund the increased inventory for us to be able to service the agencies with their common use supplies.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Director.
Sir. For capital outlays, the amount of 204.63 million will cover the following: construction of DPPB TSO building of 120 million, improvement of OSEC central office and RO buildings and other structures of 10.4 million, office and ICT equipment 31.66 million, furniture fixtures for the newly renovated Arcachi building of 23.44%, land land improvement, transportation equipment, other PPE equipment of 12.05 million, or a total of 204.63 million. On the disaggregation of the budget by organizational outcome for operations, of the two outcomes, organizational outcome 1, the allocative efficiency and operational effectiveness enhanced is given the highest share of 448.63 million, equivalent to 85.47 million of the proposed budget for OSEC's program for operation, considering it covers the bulk of the DBM function. So the organizational and productivity enhancement program will cover the issuance of NGAs, GOCCs, and public expenditure and organizational management reforms and productivity improvement measures, evaluation of the organization, staffing, compensation and position classification proposals, and policy formulation and standard setting and evaluation of agency proposals, internal control systems, procedures geared towards improving productivity, major organization and staffing modification, compensation and position classification. For budget operations and performance management program, we have management, administration, and implementation of the expenditure program at agency level and preparation of the annual national budget. For the local management policy development program, which is issuance of to LGUs on public expenditure and organizational management reforms and productivity improvement measures. On the fiscal discipline and openness program, or organizational outcome 2, budget improved through sustained fiscal discipline and fiscal openness, will have 41.69 million or 7.91%. On the disaggregation of the budget by organizational outcome for operation for the GPPB TSO, it will pursue its organizational outcome of efficient government operations to enable government agencies to improve their procurement performance with a budget of 34.56 million or just 6.58% of the total operations budget of the DBM. On the status of the fund utilization as of December 31, 2018, out of the total allotments of 3,556 million, DBM incurred obligations of 3,283 million, or an obligation rate of 92.32%, of which 1,128 million is for MOE and capital outlays. It is noted that 65% of the 273 million unobligated allotment, or the total amount of 177.41 million, pertains to the funds intended for ICT-related projects under the Budget Improvement Project and Public Financial Management Program of the DBM, which include, among others, the Budget Treasury Management System. Likewise, the disbursement rate of 81% can be attributed to the following: delays in the submission of the third-party consultants to complete documentary requirements to support the billings for payment, precondition requirements of some ICT-related projects, such as issuance of notice of acceptance before its actual disbursement, and the Memorandum of Agreement between the DPWH and GPPB-TSO for the construction of the GPPB building was executed only in December 2018. On the status of fund utilization for the budget as of June 30, 2019, it includes 255.93 carryover allotments from 2018 due to the extended validity of the 2018 appropriation per Joint Resolution Number 3 and the 1.3 billion financial assistance to the procurement service. On the quarterly physical report of operations as of June 30, DBM performance summarized under the four programs were achieved except for the fiscal discipline and openness program, which reflects a negative variance of just 1.43%. The variance accounts for the late publication of the 2019 General Appropriations Act in the second quarter of 2019, and of which the 2019 GA was due for on December as 2018 as commitment of DBM under the FDOP. The FY 2019 first semester performance of the department on the same programs are all currently on track, posting positive performance. The performance on results-based performance management program are due to be measured at year-end due to the nature of the commitments, which covers issuance of policies and provision of technical assistance. That's also for the proposed budget of the DBM for
Thank you.
2020.
Thank you. Maybe someone in the department sec could tell us about the other funds that we're hearing also, yung BARM, if someone can report on that. What are the other funds?
I'd like,
BARM
yes.
and Dream? Can I have the list, please? Yeah. For the record, the other funds are the Dream, the Contingent Fund, the Miscellaneous Personal Benefits, Pension and Gratuity Fund, Debt Service Fund Interest Payment, Tax Expenditures Fund, and Unprogrammed Appropriations.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, may I request that you kindly recognize Undersecretary Tina Canda?
Yes, Yusek Tina Kanda is recognized. Ma'am?
So we don't have a written presentation.
Give us
We
just a few details about
yes.
for the record.
For the special purpose funds being handled by the Department of Budget and Management. For the budgetary support to government corporations, the amount of 186.9 billion has been allocated, and we have recently released already to date, as of August 31, the amount of 122 billion. For the allocation to local government units, this is all in, sir, of all the sub-components there. We have an amount of 88.3 billion. But to date, we only have released 28.7 billion. For the contingent fund, Your Honor, we have an amount of 13 billion allocated for 2019. And we have so far released 3.3 billion. This is dependent on the approvals coming from the Office of the President. For the miscellaneous,
Sorry, which one is the last one you
the
read?
contingent fund, Your
Contingent.
Honor, is subject to the approval of the Office of the President for new, urgent, and unanticipated programs and projects
Yeah.
of government.
Please proceed.
The miscellaneous personal benefits fund, Your Honor, has an amount of 35.5 billion, and to date we have issued 8 billion for personnel benefits and compensation. We expect this, sir, to spike in the last quarter because that's usually the behavior for this fund. And for the NDREAM-F, National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund, we have an allocation of 20 billion under the 2019. To date, we have released 6.5 billion for various requests coming from many agencies. For the pension gratuity fund, Your Honor, we have 117 billion, And to date, we have released 96.7 billion from out of this fund, Your Honor. That is all.
Can we ask for that in writing, those details you furnished us,
Yes, Your Honor.
Secretary?
We will do that,
Yeah,
Your Honor.
thank you. How about the BARM? Nabasa niyo ba yung BARM?
Uh,
How much is in the budget, in the 2020 budget for the BARM?
It's
There's 70 for the black grant, no? Black grant ba yun, yung 70?
no, Your Honor.
What's the 70?
It's 63 billion for the black grant.
Okay.
2 billion for coming from taxes collected within the area, and another 5 billion for the Special Development Fund, which is a special fund for their catch-up for the next 10 years. That's 5 billion a year, Your Honor.
It was mentioned in an informal discussion that they're asking money for a building. Meron yata silang pondo para dyan. I understand there's 10 billion in the coffers of the ARM. Tama ba yun? Would you know? Or nasa, ang may alam niyan, ARMM?
Your Honor,
Yeah.
the 10 billion that is being cited is for the infrastructure projects in the area of ARM, which BARM actually
So they can actually use that. If they want to build a parliament, they can use that because that's infrastructure, di ba?
There are already details, Your Honor, which the
Ah.
PTA passed.
So obligated na yung 10 billion.
It's already earmarked. It's
I
not.
see,
It's
I
not
see.
obligated. I think there has no.
So where
there
could
has
they
been
get
no
those
obligation.
the funds for the building that the assembly that they're asking for? Hindi ba pwede yun sa nila, sa block grant nila? It's up to them, di ba, how to spend that block grant?
Yes, Your Honor, but the
Mm.
black grant will take effect in 2020.
Yeah,
so
so they
I-
can start building next year if they want, di ba?
If they do,
And patapos
if
na
they
rin
want.
yung 2019 eh.
Opo,
So,
opo, opo.
so they can get that from the block grant, di ba? Kasi parang ang dami na ng pera, di ba? Sa
Actually,
totoo
Mr.
lang.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, once the funds are released to them, it is for them to precisely
Right, right.
allocate that in
Thank
the
you.
way they want.
Tama. Thank you, Sec. We want to ask about the EO issued by the President a few weeks ago for the cash budgeting, and I know we've had conversations already, Sec, on that, no? But just to place it on the record, I suppose maybe tell us why the President issued that EO for the cash budgeting. I can already assume certain reasons, but just for the record, and then if there is a need for later on, if Congress passes a resolution to extend the period of obligating the 2019 budget, given the history of what went before with the budget where it was delayed, maybe you could say a little bit about that, Sec.
Yes, Your Honor. The reason for the issuance of Executive Order Number 91 was really in pursuance to the General Appropriations Act. And in fact, it is formally adopting the cash budgeting system beginning this fiscal year. On the other hand, we are also conscious of the fact that even as we would like this to be adopted in the real sense of the word, the reality on the ground really is that we have effectively lost 6 months of the year, no? Given that the budget for this year was approved only in April, and plus the election ban of another 2 months. So we have lost practically 6 months of the year. Even so, the executive department through the president issued that executive order only with respect to the fact that this is so provided by the General Appropriations Act, and therefore we stuck to the requirement that all agencies must obligate the funds at the end of the year, specifically for infra. And in the case of the MOE and capital outlay, we have extended the payment, in fact, from March till June of next year. On the other hand, the infra will still be effective all the way up to December of next year. And we are, as I've said, in constant consultation with both the lower house and the upper house on how Congress will respond as well, considering that the law itself emanated from Congress. And we will defer to the desire of Congress if it so decides to extend the validity of the General Appropriations Act for purposes of the MOE and capital outlay, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
But how about for okay, yeah. Okay lang kahit capital, all categories of spending, okay lang
Yes, Your Honor.
once if Congress decides. Because I know there are already tackling the
Yes.
resolution in
Yes.
the lower house.
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
think in the upper house, here dito sa amin, si Senator Marcos, I think, filed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sec, yung MVUC, I notice, is not in the budget, no? Because I think the law was passed in March lang. So, but that was a topic this time last year, no? Kasi ang intention talaga ng Congress, I think there is to really make it part of the GAA already. So what is your recommendation regarding those funds,
So-
given that that Republic Act that was recently passed regarding the MPUC?
As a matter of policy, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, just as we are to receive specific figures from the DOF, from the Department of Finance, in regard to this, and that is when we are going to include it in the NEP or in the budget. Otherwise, we will have to wait until, we're given the go signal with a specific emphasis on this item, Mr. Chair, as a source of funds.
Wala pang go signal.
Wala pa ho
and
kaming
yun.
eh.
But
kasi
actually,
it's
the
still to
law
be-
provides that it has to be pursuant to an appropriations.
Yes, and there, yes.
So, in fact, 2 days ago, si Secretary Villar said, they have no authority to release the money unless there is a, do you agree with his statement? There is no authority, unless there is
Yes.
an appropriation made by Congress, then it
Yes.
cannot be released unlike
Yes,
previously.
Yes, we
where-
agree. We
Ah,
agree, Your Honor.
Okay, just to
Yes.
place that on the record.
Yes, Your Honor.
So he is saying he needs a supplemental budget because the Congress cannot increase the total appropriations unless we remove it from some other department and place it there, lodge it there under, logically it would be the DOTR or the DPWH, no?
Logically, Your Honor,
Yeah.
there has to be a supplemental budget because
supplemental
that is
lang.
not made part of the current.
Okay, okay. But
uh,
time-wise,
but-
baka ano na yun.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Sec, may issue, it was also raised, yung Pasig Ferry, that was also raised during the DPWH hearing. Apparently, this was previously operated by the MMDA, but under Sec Diokno was taken over by DBM. May update lang ho ba tayo doon? What is the intention of the new, we understand that the new DBM secretary can do what as he pleases because he has different priorities. He may have different priorities.
It has now been transferred.
We're just concerned na baka maganda yung intention noon tapos wala na mag-take charge. So,
O nga.
oo.
Kaya nga po nalipat sa
What is the
DNR.
what is the desire of the DBM secretary
It's
regarding
been
that?
transferred already to DNR.
It's
Your
with the
Honor.
DNR.
Yes, it's
Okay.
with DNR.
Hindi
Ah,
tumatango si Yusek Garcia is shaking his head. Di ba kayo dati yan? Yung ferry?
Until now,
Sa Pasig
sir.
River Ferry?
Yes, sir.
Nasa inyo pa ba yan?
Yes, sir. Until
Oo.
now.
May budget ba yan sa 2020?
Yes, sir.
Meron. Magkano?
73 plus million.
73 million.
Sir, if I may.
Yeah,
your-
please. We're going to ask you nga about that. How is
Yeah.
it going?
Yeah, kasi before, I
Oo.
think that was last year, under Secretary Jokno, nag-ano siya ng team, no? DOTR, DPWH, PRRC, and us. Actually, si Chairman Limang co-chairman dyan, no? During that time. Meron silang feasibility study ata na ginawa, kaya hindi kami gumalaw. Kasi talagang plano nung una, to improve na namin yung, kasi sa riding public eh. Na-hold lang kami sandali, pati yung pag-identify ng mga PR, kasi nga may feasibility study sila. Pero nung nag-resign si Secretary, I don't know really what happened. Naghingi rin kami ng update, even the Executive Secretary. Nagbigay kami ng mga palitan ng documents eh.
There was never a study.
Wala na eh. I don't know.
Maybe we can ask
Nabidata nila,
si
sir.
Kuyang General Danny. Anong plano nyo dun sa ano? Kasi naisip lang namin na raise ho kasi yan, sir. Kasi parang to decongest. The context was the decongesting EDSA kasi nga parang 250,000 ang capacity ng EDSA but we're already running on 400,000 to 500,000 cars a day. So, currently, what is the capacity of the Pasig River Ferry? Would you know?
From January of this year up till June, mga 40,000 na yata. yung
40. Okay.
napag-avail ng
So it's
service.
quite small, ano? Konti lang mababawas kasi that's 6 months, 40,000. 6 times 3, 180. 6 times 30, 180 days divided by... So konti lang talagang nakakasakay niyan. Ilang sakay ho yan? Yeah. How many,
Actually, sir, we have
at saka anong ruta? Anong
yeah,
ruta
we
nung
have
Ferry?
11 units right now.
Aha.
Nag-start na sa Guadalupe going papunta sa Manila, no? Kaya lang hindi nga namin masyadong naayos because nga yung pinahold sa amin ng DBM during that time na sila magli-lead, no?
Mhm.
May convergence program eh. Actually, nasa NEDA na raw po ata yung feasibility study. So we're just waiting kung ano rin yung order sa amin.
Okay, sige, tanong namin sa NEDA.
Oh,
No?
pero actually, yung capacity na yan,
Pero
sir,
mahihirapan ba kayo kung dinagdagan yon? For example, would
no,
you
sir.
have a hard
No,
time?
no, sir.
Madali lang yan.
Yes, sir.
Yan. Ilan ang
Madali-
stops natin for that ferry?
Right now, we have 11.
11 stops.
11.
Ano ho yung stops na yon? Would you have it? Oh?
Okay na.
Di ho namin kabisado yan eh. So, but we're now looking at it as one of the alternatives nga kasi napaka-grabe na talagang yung problema sa trapiko. So you mentioned Guadalupe, you mentioned Manila. Ano yung endpoint siguro? What are the endpoints, Yusek?
Out of the 14, yung pinagbuhatan, San Joaquin, Guadalupe, that's the central station, Hulo, Valenzuela, Lambingan, Santa Ana, Punta, PUP, Loton, Scolta, and Plaza, Mexico.
We'll ask na lang to submit
Yes.
the ano.
Actually, sir, maganda yung ano niyan eh. Pag in-improve lang natin, malaki tulong eh. Kaya natin yan ng 100,000 a day, parang MRT yan eh. Pag
100,000 a day.
Kakayanan
Malaking
kung
bagay
full
yun,
operational,
pagka
no?
nabawas sa EDSA yun.
Yes, sir.
Oo. So currently, there are 11 ferries.
Yes.
What is the capacity of one ferry?
40.
Depende po. Meron pong may 30, may 50.
30 to 50. Okay.
And,
And
sir,
yung isang circuit, ano yun? Balikan lang yun. Pag ganun, tapos bumabalik.
yes.
Balik-balik lang.
But yung
Oo.
yung ferry itself, hindi pa siya yung talagang yung model na gusto natin eh. Kaya
Right.
parang pinagtsatsagaan mo na habang initay kasi sayang din.
Ano yung gusto nyo na ferry? Mas malaki? Mas
Yung
malaki?
modern na sir, aircon. Kasi ang
Oo.
problema natin, challenges, hindi siya aircon. So
Okay.
yung amoy, may naamoy dyan.
I see, I see. Okay. Okay. But the capacity na gusto ninyo, gaano karami yon? Gaano karaming tao?
Mga 50-seater siguro,
50-seater
sir.
na aircon.
Or more, yeah.
Magkano yung ganong barko?
Ah.
15M.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
15M. Okay. Sige, can we just get details on that?
Yes,
Hindi na lang
yes,
na
sir.
para di tayo tumagal dito. Yeah. I've been told that under the 2020 BESF, there is 15.5 billion of the MVUC revenues which are earmarked, but they do not indicate any expenditure. Is the DBM willing to submit a supplemental budget for MVUC?
We are working under the 4.1 trillion NEP, Your Honor, up until the time perhaps that we get a directive from the OP through the SOF. And then we will start to sit down and consider all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not indicated for what. So general funding lang. Yeah.
Yun pa nga ang ano.
So what is, if it's earmarked, what is it, where is it in the budget? Oo.
Sir,
You
sir,
second
the
It's earmarked, but
observation-
it's not in the budget.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mm.
The observation of Director Yoli Dublon is correct.
Mm.
That there is a revenue that has been earmarked, but no expenditure has been allocated for these revenues.
Okay. So you're open. That seems to imply that you're anticipating a supplemental budget because you've earmarked the amount.
The Secretary mentioned, Your Honor,
Mm.
it will depend on any signals
On what
we
Congress
get from-
does. Okay. Okay. Yung sa Mandana's decision, Sec, that's still in ano, no? Kailan ba yun? 21, 2022?
2022.
2022.
Yes.
We also asked Secretary Sani Dominguez about that earlier. And he gave us the options. Kayo po, anong tingin yung magandang solusyon ho dyan? Dahil yung first option niya is, since dagdag pondo sila, dagdag
Ibabawas.
obligasyon din po.
Oo.
And he mentioned health, education, agriculture.
Infra.
Tapos yung pangalawang The next two options na medyo mahirap sa tingin namin politically is to amend the local government share of the local governments from 40 to 30. Medyo mahirap yon. Away yon. Asan yung third?
Mag-declare ng ano,
Yeah.
Public
That's it.
sector
Yeah.
deficit.
Unmanageable fiscal, the declaration of the, kayo po, kung tatanungin ho kayo, ano ang tingin yung, well, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Senate Chair of the Committee on Housing and Local Government. Tamang-tama, pinag-uusapan ho ang Mandana's decision. So that has an impact on our local governments. Senator Francis Tolentino, sir.
Yes, Your
Ano
Honor.
sa tingin nyo ang magandang gawin dyan?
This was presented already to the cabinet, and I think the three options were also considered. But we were in unison in saying that let's give it until under 2022, given that the decision has become final only this year, and let's look at the 3 years from this year, so that we can really determine just exactly how much should go to the
Malaki ho
LGUs.
atang mawawala, di ba?
Malaki.
300 to 400 billion, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken.
Yes,
Oho,
thereabout.
so-
So,
Okay, just give us updates on
yes,
any
we will do
progress on that.
Your Honor. We
Sir.
will do that.
How about the RCEF ho? I understand si Senator Villar had some issues with that in another hearing on the DA and asking for the release. I think there's an issue, no? Yeah, there was still a
For-
pending release of
for-
I think 4 billion, no?
For this year, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, we have already released the entire 10 billion.
Na-release na.
Yes, the last being
Okay.
4 billion, yes.
Okay. Including the last 4B,
Yes.
which was
Yes,
okay.
Your
Thank
Honor.
you. Senator Tolentino, you have the floor.
Yes, I was trying to monitor your deliberations, but I was informed, Mr. Chair, good afternoon. I was informed that I don't know where to throw this query, that the Pasig River Ferry Service System has been transferred to DNR. Permit me to continue. We had a hearing concerning cryptocurrency wherein Secretary, now BSP Governor Ben Jokno was present, and he confirmed that formerly there was a task force headed by DBM to take charge of the Pasig River Ferry system.
Mr. Chair,
May
Your
I know
Honor.
the correct policy
Yes.
direction now, whether to
Yes.
have this operated by DBM or by DNR?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, if I may, actually what was transferred was just the Pasig River Rehabilitation Commission, the leadership rather, from DBM to DNR. In light with the fact that,
Because Mr.
Yes.
Secretary, did the President just fire the head of the Pasig River Rehabilitation Agency? So practically headless yun ngayon. But my question is, saan ngayon naka-allocate itong budget ng Pasig River Ferry System?
sa MMDA pa rin po.
MMDA.
Opo. It is just the leadership that has been transferred from, sa Pasig River, I'm sorry. If I may, Your Honor, we have here the entire budget for the Pasig Ferry Convergence Program. And Pasig River has an allocation of 135 million for next year, which also include MMDA's allocation of 73 million for the operation of the Pasig River Ferry Service.
So ito yan, diretsohin ko na.
Aha.
Kanino naka-lodge ang pondo ng operations ng Pasig River at sino ang nag-ooperate? Because Mr. Chair, having immersed myself in so many weeks of budget deliberations, I have now discovered that some of the current disconnect is the lodging of funds. Kagaya po nung isang araw, with the permission of the Chair,
To acknowledge Senator Bato with your permission.
and I will appeal to the Chair during the plenary or via the different vice chairs. Napakarami pong housing projects na being implemented by various agencies. DOTR, DPWH,
DILG.
you have NHA, Now I just discovered that the armed forces itself has a housing arm unit. So the correct policy direction is to have this lodge in just one agency. Alam to ni Yusek Lau. The same is true with the Pasig River Ferry system. You have funding coming from MMDA, you have funding coming from the Pasig River Ferry system, and then there was a task force before headed by Secretary Ben Jokno. We have to realign all of this and refocus kung sino ba talaga yung may transport mandate. So, Sec Wendell, kanino po ba talaga?
Actually, as I've said earlier,
Alam ko, minana mo lang.
the leadership of the commission has been transferred from DBM to DNR.
DNR. Wala namang
in-
kinalaman, sir, ang DNR sa transport.
Well, the president issued the transport is still under MMDA, the Pasig operation.
You're
of
talking about the Pasig
Ferry
River
System.
Commission.
Yes,
Oo.
I'm referring to the
And
Pasig
you're
River
asking about the
Commission.
ferry.
The ferry system.
The ferry
Yung ferry is still,
still
as
with
answered
MMDA.
earlier, Senator
It's with
Francis,
MMDA.
ang sagot talaga ng MMDA, they have 73 million lodged in their
Yes.
budget for
Yes.
2020
Because,
for the ferry.
Mr. Chair, when I asked GM Garcia, ang sabi niya, DBM.
The DBM, ang sagot niya earlier, to recap, is the feasibility study was in the hands of the DBM. Pero since umalis si Secretary Jokno, wala nang nangyari doon. I think I heard it was with NEDA, pero it's still operate. You're still planning to operate.
Yeah,
For,
yes.
basta may pondo, i-operate nyo pa rin.
Yes, sir.
Tama ba?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, when I left MMDA, nag-ooperation, there is no need for a feasibility study. Gastos lang yun. Umaandar na yun eh.
Hindi, I think the study is to expand, actually, Senator. I think there's because nga, the
Sayang
potential for decongesting EDSA is there. Yun ang ata ang pinag-aaralan. Not to scrap it or anything like that.
My proposal then, Mr. Chair, was to expand the Pasig River ferry route to Libis, Eastwood.
I think we should study that really. I think that's a good proposal.
Meron na hong ferry terminal doon.
Opo.
Meron lang 2 batong malaki.
Ah.
Si General Bato, meron 2 boulders no na kailangang gibain. Kung tinipak yun ng mga preso sa Bucor,
Pagbato ho, matigas ho talaga.
nasira
Pagbato.
na. So, what I'm saying is this, Mr. Chair, ano ho yung status nito? Bakit tumigil na? Ito yung kailangan natin ngayon.
Is it operating as we speak, Yusek? Is it
Sir.
operating as we speak?
Yes, sir.
Oo.
Sir, the problem is, kaya nga hindi namin ma-improve last year nga. Kasi pinahold muna because of the feasibility study. Para paano may improve parang malaki. That's why nung na-transfer si Secretary Ben, naka-holding kami, not even the Executive Secretary.
Siguro tuloy nyo na. Wala na si Secretary Ben, so wala nang pipigil ho sa inyo.
No, I mean, because we're waiting
Baka
for the
pigilan, baka magalit pa si
we're
Senator
waiting for the
Florentino.
feasibility study. Actually, sir, yung sinasabing bato ni Senator Tolentino, for 2 years na namin nare-request yung budget yan. Para matanggal eh.
How much do you need to
I
remove
think
that?
it's 200 million eh. Something like that.
Ha? Dalawang bato, 200 million?
Dredge sila eh. It's not us. I think DPWH eh.
Ha?
It's not us ah.
Ang laki naman. Tatanggal lang ng 2 bato. Anong klaseng bato yun?
Sir, di ba, sir, ewan ko sa inyo, nung panahon ni Senator Tor, kasi yun yung,
Wala ba kayong capacity na kayong gumawa?
sir, sobrang sobrang
Sumasayad
siyang,
kasi yung kill ng bangka.
adobe siya na kailangan mo i-dredge yung buo, kaya makadaan eh. Kasi masyadong malaki siya talagang.
Dredge and remove the
Yes, sir.
rock.
Yes, sir.
Abot ng libis. But just the same, Mr. Chair, doon ako nagtataka, bakit kailangan mong ihinto ang operasyon ng ferry system dahil magkukunda ka ng feasibility study? Diba?
Sir,
Well, I think it's only Secretary Jokno could answer that because I was not privy to that.
Si Mr. Chair, ang sabi niya, pinauubayan niya na uli sa ibang ahensya yung pagpapatakbo ng Pasig River Ferry kasi nasa Bangko Sentral na siya ngayon.
Yes.
Sabi ko sa kanya, baka naman Bangko Sentral pa ang gusto magpatakbo ng Pasig River Ferry. Lalong malayo na yun sa mandato.
Sobrang layo na yun. Sir
Can you
Senator.
answer that?
Sir, first, no, hindi naman po nahinto. Tuloy-tuloy, kaya lang, 11 yung ferry natin, 4 lang ang tumatakbo hanggang 6. No, palitan yan eh. Ngayon, hindi nga namin maitodo ang full blast nung operation kasi nga baka masayang, baka sabihin ng feasibility study, hindi pala tama yung ginagawa namin. So kung ano yung existing lang na naiwan nyo, pinapatakbo namin. That's why kahit kami po, we're waiting kung ano direction talaga. if we really want to improve it, then we can really handle it. No? Kaya namin patakbuhin.
Having heard from Secretary Wendell, tinatransfer na talaga uli sa inyo eh. Kayo naman daw talaga eh.
Sir, paano yung, sir, we're waiting yung, yung feasibility study, nasa NEDA na eh. Kahit kami, sir, nag-iintay eh.
So you don't have to wait for the results, the outcome of the feasibility study to continue the operations
Okay.
of the Pasig River Ferry System.
Yes, sir.
Di ba?
Sir, continuous. Kaya lang yung improvement, paano mapapadami lalo ang sakay eh. Hindi kami makagastos kasi nga, baka masayang lang yung pera. Pag sinabi nilang may plano silang ibang malaki eh.
Can you give us just a report on that,
Yes,
Yusek?
sir. Yes, sir.
Oo,
Yes,
hindi
sir.
naman rush, no? Pero
Yes, sir.
kung anong na-discover nyo dun sa ruta, kung saan maganda in relation to the proposal of Senator Tolentino para long term, meron tayong
Yes, sir.
maibigay sa ating mamamayan regarding solving the traffic problem, no? I think we owe it to them to explore all possible.
Yes, sir.
And one last point, Mr. Chair.
Yes, yes, please.
Kindly include your proposal doon sa TWG work ng committee ni Senator Grace po.
Okay, sir.
Include that in that TWG work.
Yes, sir. Will do, sir.
Please that, Senator Francis.
Something to do with the traffic sit. Alam nila yan eh. Alam
Okay.
nila yan eh. Oh.
You're part of the TWG. Sige, sama nyo na. Tapos, give us a copy also of whatever submissions you make there para pwede natin i-take into consideration yung proposal. Maganda yung proposal ni Senator Francis. I think we have to look into that. Kasi nga, ang sabi sa akin ng mga matatanda, talagang ginagamit yung Pasig for goods, for ferrying people. So, parang nawala yun. We overemphasize yung mga kotse, di ba? Parang we forgot about the other modes of transport.
One last question.
Go ahead, Senator. You have the floor, Senator Tolentino.
The possibility, I inquired this privately kanina kay Yusek Lau, of the ALGO program to without implementing the Mandana's decision to encompass existing current initiatives to have our barangay captains receive an appropriate salary or honorarium, so to speak. It will be covered by another separate hearing. But I'd like just to get your instant thought on this, the fiscal space, so to speak, for that initiative,
That one we
which
will need.
was also authored by Senator Sani Angara during the 17th Congress.
That one we will need a study on the matter, Your Honor, considering its financial implication. But then again, whatever it is that Congress may think is useful and beneficial, specifically to barangay officials. Only that we will also try to do our share in really looking at its financial implication in the overall budget of the government, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary Wendell. That's why I'm willing to sponsor your confirmation. I'm awaiting your arrival for that CA confirmation. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I reserve some
Thank you.
other questions during the plenary because I have to attend to some diplomatic.
Baka gusto niyo nang tanungin kasi ako sasagot sa plenary eh. Pag dito sa committee, si Secretary ang sasagot.
Ganon? Australian ambassador.
Okay. All right. Senator Francis, thank you. Next to ask is Senator Bato de la Rosa, sir. No more. Okay. He's just here for his favorite secretaries to support.
I'm here to support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm sure Sec Wendell is also very grateful. Senator Bansi, any issues with the DBM and the other funds? Wala na po. So wala na ho atang issue ang itatanong. We thank the Secretary, and since no one else has registered to ask questions, it's one of the quickest budget hearings. Thank you, Secretary, and to the DBM and General Lim and his team. They're under sa budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Your Honor.
Salamat to the DBM. Thank you.